Good day, everyone. This is the Group 3. Now, we will present the Module 5 Global Population and Mobility. When we say global population and mobility, it is present the essence and reality of global demography. Section 1 of Module 5, the Global City. The learning outcome is, at the end of this section, you are expected to first identify the attribute of global city. Second, analyze how cities serve as engine of the global. And third, explain how multinational corporations influence the development of global cities. Global city. It deals with the concept of cosmopolitanism and its significance in world politics and international relations. Global city, also called world city or sometimes Alpha City or World Center. It is a city which is a primary node in the global economic network. Although globalization certainly affects rural and urban areas, global forces are connected in cities. 21st century is a hub of a closer relation of state and for a wider perspective and technological development. As such, the world became a web where people can witness the interconnectivity of nations, like for example, the internet, social media, and global transportation have brought people and culture together like never before. This interconnectedness is changing the way we live, work, and interact with each other in outside of nation, which globalization made nations closer to each other and shared adapt its culture. According to Thomas Friedman in his book The World is Flat 2005, there are three stages of globalization. First is globalization 1.0, globalization 2.0, globalization 3.0. First stage is called globalization 1.0 that lasted in 1492 to 1800s and shrunk the world from a size large to a size medium, which related to countries. This is known as the age of mercantilism and colonialism, and driving forces were workforce, horsepower, wind power, and later on steam power. It is the age of Pax Britannica, when Great Britain was the hegemonic power in terms of trade and economy, which related to companies. It is known as a globalization 2.0. The driving force was new institution, particularly the emergence of global market and multinational corporation, to medium to small. The third stage occurred during the second half of the 20th century. Refers to the age of Pax America, when the United States of America was hegemonic power in terms of security, trade, and economy. It's called Globalization 3.0. After the fall of the Soviet Union in the 1980s, the United States of America became the sole superpower in the so-called unipolar world. This system was developed by the reigning hegemonic state by defeating the other great power, not necessarily in a military aspect, but in the term of economy and influence to other states in the world, small to tiny, which technology is accessible around the world. Unlike in the 19th and 20th century, the present condition does not use the tactics of force, maintaining one influence over another state. Soft power, to retain one's dominance over the less powerful state, means not using threat or force to achieve a compliance. Soft power, according to Joseph Nye 2004, using different method to establish cooperation attraction, this form of power arises from the attractiveness of the country's culture, political ideals, and policies. Examples: tourism promotion and cultural exchange. Tourism promotion leveraging tourism attraction to draw international visitors, spreading appreciation and knowledge of their culture. Cultural exchange initiative that facilitate the mutual sharing of ideas, art, and tradition, fostering understanding and friendship. When these policies are deemed justifiable by other states, soft power is enhanced. Nye argue that it will be mistake if country does not use this as a part of its nation's strategy. For 2013, explain that the world is changing dramatically and there are six driving forces in the global change. One of the drivers of global change is the emergence of deeply interconnected global economy that increasingly operates as a whole entity. When we say international transaction taking place between top economies in the world help in the continuance of the global economy. These transactions mainly comprise trade taking place between different countries. International trade includes the exchange of variety of production between countries exporting and importing. Multinational corporation or MNCs plays a substantial role in the global economy and enjoy a multitude of privileges such as unquestionable access to vast amount of wealth they draw from their income, theoretical immortality to certain extent and ability to pit themselves against one another. Company that has business operation in at least one country another than its home country. Corporation with operation in two or more countries. Example, Coca-Cola companies, Honda, McDonald's, and etc. MNCs, in a sense, have the capacity to erase and transcend the border of the world.
According to Longhorn 2015, just as the great industrial cities grew from the industrial era, global cities are the product of a global economy. Global city serve as a hub for production, finance, and telecommunication. According to Zacchaeus Sassen, leading theorist of global cities are strategic sites that manage and guide the global economy. Many of these cities were already centers for international trade and banking. 2005 outlined the different characteristics of a global city. Number 1, the cultural diversity of the people. Number 2, existence of a center of economy. 3, geographic dispersal of economic activities that marks globalization. And number 4, global reach performance. These characteristics are observed in famous global cities such as New York, Tokyo, Singapore, and Seoul. When you think of Tokyo, Japan, what comes first in your mind? So for me, when I think about Tokyo, Japan, the first thing that comes in my mind is advanced technologies, a very good public transportation. Their trains are always on time. So according to Longhorn 2015, there are 4 pillars of urban life in a global city. Balance between 4 pillars of urban life. Number 1 is civic. An effective city government supported by institutions of civil society, such as think tanks and foundations, especially those embedded in the global society. Number 2, commercial. A powerful business community with global connections. Number 3, educational. Both higher education and K-12. Number 4, cultural. The arts and entertainment that give the city its soul. Characteristic of a global city, according to Longhorn 2015. Economic attribute. No city is a global city unless it is an economic powerhouse, dominant in finance, trade, manufacturing, or business services. Population size. All global cities are big cities, 3 million people or more. It takes size to offer all the attributes needed to be a global city. Human capital. This means having a storehouse of smart, educated, creative people. The percentage of the population with a college degree counts. So does the number of universities and their quality. Culture. A strong economy pays for the museums, universities, symphonies, and theaters that make a city more than a labor pool. This is also draw for global citizens who have palette of places to live, work, and do businesses. Tourists. Because of global cities are so big, so vibrant, so much fun, they are magnets for tourists. Tourists themselves are major export industry. They come from outside to buy what a city has to offer. Connectivity. For the most part, this means air and digital connections to the rest of the world. If global cities are where global citizens meet, then a major airport with a full schedule of non-stop flights to other global cities is crucial. Quality of life. This includes public transit, the environment, safe streets, good healthcare, and efficient and honest local government. A reputation for corruption, pollution, or crime will damage a city's competitive power.
Flattening of the world is a result of globalization. For VOT and COPY, globalization is a continual increase in worldwide economic, social, and cultural interaction that surpass the boundaries of states. Because of globalization, we not only have the opportunity to import products, but it also helps the economy to develop. Global cooperation becomes possible as countries and international organizations collaborate to achieve a certain goal. What is demography? Demography is a field of statistics that deals with various factors such as birth, deaths, incomes, and the occurrence of disease, which ultimately shows the changing structure of human populations. This means that demography involves analyzing the characteristics of specific populations. An example of illustrating demography is through this graph that shows the population size based on factors such as birth, death, age, race, and gender, which eventually changes over time. The changing perspective of technology advancement and the movement of international organizations have transformed the world into global civil society. Global civil societies refers to the non-governmental organization that addresses social issues such as human rights. It aims to promote social justice worldwide. The role of global civil society in global demography is important as it exercises an salient influence on institutional decision-making. By raising awareness, advocating for change, and engaging in policy discourse, global civil society organizations shape policies that have a wide-ranging impact on populations at large. Global demography is about the trends and practices in world politics. It is the study of the issues and development of global population. It involves analyzing various aspects as the global population such as birth rates, death rates, migration patterns, fraternity rates, and populations distributions. Global demography examines how these factors shape and are influenced by political, social, economical, and environmental dynamics on global scale. To understand this concept, citing an example of current world issues and humanitarian crisis can be done. For instance, is a rapid increase of global population, birth rates, and more.
According to Ronald Lee, 2003, demography is currently in transition. The mortality rate declined followed by fertility, causing population growth rates to accelerate and then to slow down again. This demographic transition leads to low fertility, long life, and an old population. The global demographic transition began in the 19th century, driven by formal migration, historical events, and the development of the industrialized economy. Lee explains that the transition to low mortality rate was influenced by the reduction of contagious and infectious disease caused by advancement in medicine and improved nutrition. Factors that led to low fertility rate are the preference better over child survival number of childbirths and the assumption that raising children is more costly than the consumption of goods, as children render less economic contributions due to years spent on education. The world is bigger than what people know about it, but it is smaller than how they perceive it. There are a lot of issues and crises along the road of globalization. The graph below shows the number of high net worth individuals by country. As demonstrated, United States had the highest number of high net worth individuals. Aside from increasing birth rate, excessive movement of people from one place to another are also a factor in overpopulation. International migration is becoming more tremendous. Population is a crucial aspect of human demography, And as the world shrinks, the concept of a globalized world emerges, where state population merge into global ones. Overpopulation in the Philippines is attributed to rural residents seeking better living conditions, but experts suggest internal migration to cities may also contribute to this issue.
Section 3, the global migration. This section deals with the journey of different citizens around the globe. As the world is becoming more and more connected, migration continues to be a new trend among people, regardless of their race, nationality, or ethnicity. Global migration has three intended learning outcomes. First, distinguish the different global civilization and categories. 2. Analyze the political, economic, cultural, and social factors underlying the global movements of people. And 3. Reflect on the experience of OFW. During the Cold War, leaders all over the globe agreed to classify the world into three categories. The first category is the First World, which refers to states which have high income or capital are rich. Categories is the Second World, refers to the former communist, socialist, and industrial states. Is the Third World, refers to the nation not aligned with either first world or second world, which are called developing countries. Cold War intended the bipolarity of the world's hegemonic powers, which were held by the Western Bloc, United States, its NATO allies, and others, and the Eastern Bloc, the Soviet Union, and its satellite states. This left the United States as the sole remaining superpower of the world by 1989. The US has a military alliance with 50 countries, therefore bringing to the life of the American era. After a decade, Fareed Zakaria, year 2008, refers to the post-American world, which is illustrated by the diffusion of power from state to other actors. This diffusion of power signals the rise and of the rest, which give other states the power to play roles in the world's economic and political arena. The classification of countries into three was changed into two: developed and developing countries. Developed countries are the countries that have progressive economies and advanced technological infrastructures, while developing countries are low-income countries with less developed industrial bases. Migration. Migration is the ongoing movement of people from one country to another.
Huntington categorizes global civilizations into Western, Latin, American, Islamic, Sinic, Hindu, Buddhist, Orthodox, Japanese, and African, with people relocating for economic stability, democratic freedom, and a better life. Podge 2008 identified three elements: individualism, universality, and generality, linking it to globalization. Cosmopolitanism, rooted in individualism, asserts that humans are the ultimate unit of moral concern, with equal moral worth and general concern for each other. It is linked to globalization and the creation of the global city. However, critics argue that it cannot transcend moral and cultural aspects of societies. There are two types of migration: internal and international migration. Internal migration is any movement from one place to another in the same country, and international migration is a movement from one country to another.
Since the concept of cosmopolitanism adheres to the equality in moral integrity among men, it plays a role where people migrate. The internal migration is also known as local migration and has always been driven by economic sustainability. It is a significant societal phenomenon that is driven by various factors shaping the demographic, economic, and social landscapes of nations. According to Henry Now 2009, transnational relations exist in the present world because countries trade with one another and population move across state boundaries. Transnational relations play a crucial role in today's interconnected world and serve various functions that impact political, economic, social, and cultural spheres. However, migration is not only rooted in economic aspirations, but also political motivations. There are some people that are being oppressed by their governments and want to be free from tyrannical politicians. To better understand the concept of global migration, there are three categories of descent were created: the voluntary economic migration, forced displacement, and refugee crisis. The voluntary economic migration is rooted in the pursuit of economic stability. People move from one country to another to benefit from greater economic opportunities in the receiving country. This kind of migration is illustrated by the Overseas Filipino Workers or OFW. The second and third categories, on the other hand, refer to how people are forced to migrate. They are the people who have fled from war, violence, conflict, or persecution and have crossed the international border to find safety in another country. Migration has various effects on a country, including its social, economic, and political aspects. In the Philippines, OFWs are major economic drivers, affecting the country's sustainability through remittances. This drives the country's foreign policy to focus on labor exports. Additionally, migration leads to brain drain, with only 15.5% of employed Filipino immigrants having tertiary education and the remaining 26.6% working as technicians and clerks. The Philippine Institute of Development Studies highlights these effects.